My name is Bearden. I'm a senior at Homewood High School. I am on the varsity girls golf team. And in case you're wondering, there's not a JV. We just say varsity because it sounds cool. So I work at Big Spoon Creamery, and I'll be at USC next fall for majoring in criminal justice and minoring in legal affairs. So that's exciting. Before I begin, I just want to say a quick word of prayer, so will you guys bow your heads with me? Dear Heavenly Father, we invite you to enter this room and fill it with peace. Please allow these words to be yours instead of mine. It is in your holy name I pray. Amen. Okay guys, I'm just going to jump right into this. So many of you guys are probably like me and you've grown up here at Trinity. And if you're a girl, you wore the little dresses and the white shoes and the bows that are bigger than your head, and then fell asleep during the sermons in the traditional service. But Trinity is also where a majority of my memories have been formed, especially when I entered confirmation in 6th grade and then continued on through element for the past 7 years. But most of them are from Discovery Weekend, and I do have a very deep love for it. Who in here loved the skits, videos, and everything that was put together by the staff and the high schoolers?
Yeah.
Yeah? Well, I, along with Griffin, was in the everything skit. And Griffin pretty much already gave y'all the rundown, so I'm not going to go into detail about what it was since we've already discussed that. But I did do this skit my sophomore year, and I decided to do it again for a few reasons. For one, the entire skit in general was changed up on me, and when Emily told me that I was in it, she said we were completely changing it, and it took me by surprise a little bit, but it still ended up being really good. The other reason why it was different is because over the past couple of years, I found myself identifying with the girl in the story in all of the ways you saw in the skit, and by all, I meant every single one. I'm going to warn you guys, this is not a very happy story, but I'm currently writing my happy ending as we speak and as I stand here telling you guys my story. So let's start with sophomore year Caroline. She's happy, she has a pretty good group of friends, she has a mediocre GPA, and nothing is seemingly wrong. However, I soon started to feel off. I was too young and immature to fully grasp what I was feeling, so I ignored it and thought that I would get over it soon. That was the first mistake that I made. As sophomore year came to an end, I entered junior year and things began to progress in a more negative way. I quit 2 of the things I love, band and show choir. I slowly started straying from my friends and I was all around unhappy. You know that feeling you get in your chest when something kind of aggravating or something really nerve-wracking is about to happen, your heart starts beating and you get that lump in your throat, or that feeling when you start to miss a step on the staircase and your heart starts beating? Yeah, it was like that constant feeling times 10. My friends began to notice a huge change in me, but I brushed it off and thought that I could deal with it on my own. I still did not realize what was wrong with me, and that was my second mistake. Now we're at senior year, and senior year is supposed to be crazy, wild, and the most memorable year of your life, but it did not feel that way. The way I've been feeling had gotten progressively worse. And by worse, I meant hitting the snooze button every morning instead of going to school, letting my grades fall, crying myself to sleep every night, not being with my friends at all anymore. My weekends consisted of lying in bed and being by myself. I barely spoke to my family, and anytime I was invited somewhere, I would either say no or say yes and then cancel at the very last minute. Because all I ever wanted to do was be alone and not have to feel like I was a burden on everybody that I was with. At this point, something was clearly wrong. My family knew it, and my friends knew it, but I still ignored it. And this was the third mistake and the most fatal mistake that I made. Now, this should be the part of the skit where I tell you guys that this is the part that I don't relate to, this is the part that I don't understand. However, unfortunately, this is the part that I related to the most. In early December of last semester, senior year, I attempted to take my own life. I officially hit rock bottom. I spent a week in the hospital getting treatment with doctors and therapists and meeting with people that were around my age going through the same things that I was going through. But how exactly did I get to this point? Now I'm going to go back to the skit. I struggled way too much with being addicted to social media and my body image. But then again, what teenager doesn't? I tried tirelessly to look and act like the women that I was not made to be or meant to be like. I chased lust and greed. I made very poor decisions that I was convinced were normal teenage activities, but I knew that they weren't. And by greed, I don't mean money. I turned to drugs because I thought, oh, alcoholism runs in my family, so why don't I just do drugs instead? Not only was that terrible logic, but it got me into a lot of trouble with my mom and dad. So, don't do what I did. But I do think that the worst thing I did was listen to Satan rather than God. During the time that I spent recovering in the hospital, there were several things that I couldn't have. One, the room that I was in was the worst. There was a bed, nailed to the ground, a desk, nailed to the ground, and a chair with 100 pounds of sand in the bottom. Like, even better. But I like to think of myself as more of a glass half full type of person and look at the bright side of that. So, it's all good. I also think that me being in that room was God saying, girlfriend, you did this to yourself, so I don't know why you're upset. Which, I guess is true. The second thing was that I was not allowed to see my friends at all. I didn't have phone, internet, television. I was only allowed to see my family and people who were part of the church. So Robert and Ryan Rice came to visit me. And Nancy Farron came to see me because she pretended to be part of the church clergy. She even went to the church and got her own little name tag. A few of my friends did know that I was in the hospital. Matt and Terry and my friend Anna Coker brought me flowers. I was not allowed to have them, but they brought them, so I thought that counts. Two of the girls in my fusion group tried to come and see me. They weren't allowed to. And then my best friend and god sister, Greer Calvert, brought me this journal. And they tried not to let me have it, but Greer would not leave until they took it, and she watched them give it to me. So, in this little journal, she wrote a ton of Bible verses, some notes for me to kind of get me through what was going on. And to be completely honest, at first I ignored it. I was like, this is the last thing I need. I do not need to turn to God now. He hasn't been there for me for this long. Why should I turn to Him now? But one night, since homegirl didn't have her cell phone, she was like, okay, I'll flip through it. I'll see what's going on. So I whipped out the Bible that my parents brought me, and I started looking at the Bible verses. And this one really stuck out to me. It was Psalm 34:17. The righteous cry out, and the Lord hears and delivers them out of their trouble. If there was any verse that I needed to hear, it was that one. For the first time in a long time, and I mean years, I had never prayed on my own consciously. I only prayed when I went to church and at family gatherings when we prayed over our dinner. But for the first time, I knelt down beside my bed and I prayed. I cried, I apologized, I begged to be forgiven because I was just so ungrateful for the life that God had created for me. When I saw Robert, Ryan, and Nancy, it wasn't just them that I saw, but I saw the Lord in their eyes and I saw the Lord in the words that they said to me. Throughout my struggle, I was the girl in the skit. I listened to sin and fell into temptation, but as cheesy as it sounds, God rescued me. That is why I participated in the skit for the second time. To me, that was my way of helping someone who needed it, by showing even just one person that God is there, screaming your name and holding back those sins so that you can be free. Discovery Weekend gave me an outlet, and then another outlet as I stand here speaking to you now. God saves. He saved me when I absolutely did not deserve it. He saved me because He loves me more than anyone that I could ever think of. Before I knew Jesus, I viewed my religion as a requirement, something that I kind of had to have in order to be a part of my family or in order to be successful. During my struggle, I came to know what a true relationship with God is. It's difficult, but at the same time, there's absolutely nothing that can break the bond between me and the Lord. So now what? I'm very happy to say that I'm feeling more like myself than I ever have. I go to therapy once a week, and I've been on medication to help me with my depression and anxiety. In the hospital, the doctor told me that I have major depressive disorder, which, thank you, Karen. I think we kind of figured that out considering I'm in the hospital right now. But I don't see having this disorder as hindering, and I don't even see it as a disorder. I see it as what brought me to my faith, shaped me into who I am, who I want to be, and gives me a story to share with the world. Will you pray with me? Dear Lord, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to speak in front of all of these people here. This is an opportunity that I never thought that I would get, and I hope that what I have to share maybe affected somebody in this room. It's in your holy name, amen.